If I fall, will you catch me? Chapter 1. Tommy has killed 36 people. The weapon in Tommy's hands does not shake. It steadies almost impossibly so, and Tommy will not miss his target. This is a fact he knows. He knows the sun will rise. He knows the tide will leave. He knows he will hit his shot. Tommy is incapable of missing. He's perfect. It's his job to be perfect, and without a job, Tommy is nothing, so his hands are steady. He remembers the names of all 36 people, not because he feels remorse or guilt. In all honesty, Tommy doesn't think he can feel. He remembers because no one else will. No one but him. James Richard. This is a name Tommy will never forget. At very least, he can remember him. At very least, he can remember his name. He pulls the trigger. 37. Tommy has killed 37 people. Tommy, can you run down to Office 5? Tommy snaps his head up from his computer, nodding briefly, and standing up. He takes the manila folder from Dream's hand, walking away and out of the room before Dream gives him something else to do. The office building is quiet this far into night. Just the buzz of the lights above him and the muffled sound of the computer keys tapping are the only things audible. Tommy presses the down button on the elevator, stepping in and covering his mouth as he yawns. He stares blankly at the metal wall in front of him. The elevator moves, his warped reflection staring back at him before he can analyze the way his eyes are a chasm of emptiness or the way his skin is taut around his bones. The elevator dings and the door slides open and he steps out onto the second level of the building. His footsteps mock him as he walks down the empty hallway to Office 5. His knuckles protest as he knocks lightly against the door. "Come in," a tired voice from the other side of the room, and Tommy twists the handle. The man on the other side leans back and smiles. Tommy, how are ya?" His face remains blank. "I'm fine." The man's black hair falls in front of his face as he shakes his head. The white fabric he had tied around his hairline moves with him, where it's knotted in the back, the loose strings falling over his neck. "Come on, lighten up, Toms. You get to go home soon." Tommy drops the file onto the desk, spreading them. "We'll see. Good night, Sapnap." Sapnap frowns and slides the folder towards himself, looking at Tommy with a deep sort of sadness in his eyes. "Good night, Tommy." The door had already clicked shut. Tommy gets back upstairs to Dream's office to see him collecting his documents and carefully sorting them into folders. Tommy smothers the flicker of hope in his chest. He looks up at Dream, staring carefully at his shirt. Dream apparently feels the eyes on him because he sighs and says, "Yes." "Are we going home?" Tommy asks, keeping his neutral tone, but Dream still flickers his eyes to Tommy's face, a hard glint in them. "Do you want to go home?" Dream asked, his voice clear and so frustrating, even Tommy can never tell what he's thinking. Unfortunately, he knows it's a trick question. "I go home when you go home. I know that." Tommy shrugs and Dream stares at him for another few seconds before looking away, resuming packing. Tommy patiently waits, closing his computer and shoving it into its case. Dream stands up after a little while longer than it usually takes him to pack up. Tommy recognizes the behavior and makes sure he looks completely content with staying. "All right, let's go." Tommy follows after Dream, walking out of the huge office and watching Dream lock the door behind them. The walk is silent, as always it is, and Tommy makes sure to give a small wave to the secretary in the front lobby, who looks even more tired than Tommy does. The car's waiting for them sits by the curb seat and rumbling, adding to the murmurs of the city. They get in, and the car sinks down the city street. Windows tinted enough that it's hard to even see the streetlights. Tommy sighs quietly, and he rests his head against the cool glass, but he can't bring himself to close his eyes. Dream glances over even so often. They arrive at Dream's house in a matter of few minutes. The large statue casting a long shadows into the sidewalk and onto Tommy's body as he gets out of the car and steps towards the door. Dream pushes in the key and jiggles it. The door creaks open when it clicks. "Make sure to wake me up at 5 a.m. are Dream's only words before sitting his briefcase on the stand by the door and disappearing into the living room. Tommy nods to himself and drags himself upstairs. The house is huge, way too huge for 2 people, and it's lonely. Atmosphere suffocating as he steps into his room. He flickers on the space heater Sapnap had gifted him when he first visited. It's way too cold in here. What are you, a vampire? Jesus, I can see my own breath. Tommy almost smiled at the memory. Almost. He wrestled his shirt off, muttering in constant phrases to make the room feel less lonely as he unlaced and slipped his shoes off, not even bothering with his pants. He slipped on a red and white t-shirt and crawled into bed. Suddenly, it is very, very quiet. It is quiet, and Tommy is still alone. The eggs taste burned as he shoves them in his mouth. Tommy's never been good at cooking. The toast is better, and the black coffee he slurps down burns his tongue enough that he can't taste it. Slow down, Dream says quietly from across the table, engrossing in some paper laid out in front of him. Tommy nods, even though he knows Dream isn't looking, putting his fork down on his empty plate and quietly draining the last of his coffee. Do you have any questions for today? Dream asked softly. What are we doing today? Tommy asked, drumming his fingers against his thigh as Dream looks up and settles his eyes on Tommy. He'll never truly get used to that stare. He levels Dream's glare, and his heart thunders as Dream sighs. He's disappointed. His head hissed back at Tommy's silent shout at it until it's back into the corner of his mind where it's dark. I need to run a diagnostic on our sales and rates. I've been meeting with some associates at 8 o'clock. I have a public speaking session at 2. Tommy nods, getting up and carrying his dishes to the sink. He runs his tongue over his bottom lip, feeling the scar that blends into his flesh where it's plate. Barely noticeable, but it stings. It's a stinging reminder of his past, something he's been trying to forget. He washes his plate and fork and puts them in the drying rack, turning around to Dream and scratching his fingernails over the counter, debating on opening his mouth or not. Who are the associates? Sometimes his tongue is quicker than his brain. Dream is silent for a terrifying moment, and for a second, Tommy thinks he'll just outright ignore him. But he starts to answer in a voice that drips from his lips like honey. It's not like you to ask so many questions. A silent warning. If you must know, they're from a different branch. His tone is impassive as always. He doesn't even offer Tommy a glance from his work on the table. Tommy knows what Dream is saying. However, the only people that Tommy allowed to meet are a small list of workers at the office with him or dead men. He's never allowed to talk to Dream's co-workers. He hears rumors of himself, the government's deadliest loyal dog, child prodigy. He likes to think of himself as a tool, not as a dog, but he can't understand where the remarks are coming from. But still, he well known among the people Dream works with, so why is he still a secret? It's not his place to know. He considers Dream a smart man, and he has his reasons. The small window behind him shows the sky shifting into morning. The pale orange sunbeams breaking through the crisp blue sky have promised to be the brightest part of Tommy's day. He especially likes that there's mostly never any red. He hates it. He hates it when it's there. He pulls out of his thoughts when Dream stands up. Let's head in. Are you ready to leave? Of course. Tommy walks back over to the table and begins to gather papers Dream was working on, placing them back inside the folders. Dream takes it before moving towards the doorway. The two shuffle out of the door, the only noise being Dream's shoes on the sidewalk. Tommy walks silently. The same car as yesterday, the same as every day. He pulls up in front of the house. The drive is too silent. Most of Tommy's life is quiet. He realized he lives quietly in the background. The world spinning in front of him, never for him to touch or taunting, seeing people on the street freely live. Our job is to help these people. They don't understand the world. We do. Without us, the world would crumble, Tommy, Dream had told him, passing the gun into his hand. He doesn't remember how old he was, but he does remember that he was shaking. He was planning on ruining that for other people. He's a bad person, Tommy. Tommy levels the gun at the man's head, fingers numb on the cool metal. He knows he wouldn't be able to remember what he looked like. He knows it wouldn't matter anyways. Dream nods and Tommy pulls the trigger. Tommy shakes off the memory as he pulls into the parking garage next to a familiar officer building. The small green number on the dashboard read 628. Dream runs a hand through his hair, turning to Tommy. I have some work to finish. Why don't you check in with the security cameras and set up the permits? Tommy nods, even though he knows it's not a suggestion, and he gets out of the car. The air is cool in the garage, and his footsteps echo as he walks out into the bright sunlight. It's suddenly hot, and his skin is starting to warm under his black clothing, and he can feel the cold of his gun at his hip shifting with him as he walks around the electrical fence that guards the front building. It's a simple routine. He can do it mindlessly at this point. Check in with the morning shift officer, walk the permits, keep an eye out for anyone who looks out of place. Not too many people do. It's rare to see anyone try to interrupt the work done here. They must have heard the rumors of him too. In the guard office, Callahan sits with his legs up on the desk as he diligently scrolls through his phone. He's wearing a pair of fake leathers today that Tommy finds quite amusing. Not that he shows it. "Good morning," he sighs towards the security guard, muscle memory returning to his fingers. Anything interesting happened so far? Callahan sets his phone down. "Nope, boring as usual. It's hot today, so walk in the shadows or something." Callahan is kinder than most of the people Tommy knows. He makes sure Tommy is always comfortable, even in the 5 minutes he would see him, and he's always trying to make him laugh. It never works, but he did make him smile once. Callahan still counts as victory. Tommy nods and leaves the room. Callahan was not kidding. As immediately made aware of the pressure from the sun. It was still early in the morning, and it only promised to get warmer. It's nothing he can't handle. He would probably just have to make his rounds quicker than usual, as if he didn't want to collapse. Dream hated when he did that. The first thing he noticed is the new car in front of the building. It's a dark blue Jeep Liberty. Not the kind of car you would usually see in front of a government official. Tommy narrows his eyes. It's inside of the fence, so it has to be someone who was supposed to be here. Tommy turns around and goes back to Callahan's station, feeling the sweat collect on the back of his neck. "Who's the rivals in the blue Jeep?" Tommy sighs and Callahan shrugs. "Just a couple of guys, I think. Dream was meeting." "Why?" "Shit," Tommy mutters and sighs a sloppy goodbye to Callahan as he darts out of the office and across the lot. He has to check in with Dream before the meeting starts. He knows this. Tommy reaches the front door with ease, just a little out of breath as he pulls it open, and he runs into the air-conditioned lobby. He doesn't bother with a wave to the secretary, just focused on how he's going to get out of this one with Dream. Logically, he knows it's not his fault. The associates got here early, and he thought he had another half hour, but still, he knows that Dream won't care, and Tommy's heart starts to pound rapidly. "It's fine. It would be fine. Come on. Tommy cracks his knuckles as the elevator goes up painfully slow. He considers taking the stairs, but Dream probably wouldn't have been too happy if he kneels over it in his office. The elevator dings and the door slides open, and Tommy rushes down the hallway. Maybe he can still make it. It's before Dream's meeting starts. Maybe he can make it still. Make it before Dream's... Maybe he can make it still. Before Dream's meeting starts. Sorry about that. He relaxed his face and pushes the door open. Tommy freezes as he looks up at the meeting. 3 pairs of eyes. There are 2 people sitting in front of Dream's desk. A man with a particular white stripe in his otherwise dark brown hair, and a woman with blonde hair that's trying to a high ponytail. "Tommy," Dream's voice cuts through the air. Tommy straightens, ignoring the way his finger twitched on the door handle. "You can wait after the meeting, right?" Tommy forces his face to go slack, nods, starting to close the door. No, it's all right. I don't mind, Dream." The man chuckles, either not noticing or completely ignoring the tension in the room. "Who are you, anyways?" He turns back to look at Tommy. dark eyes intimidating. Just an intern, that's all. Dream flicks his eyes towards the guy and then back up to Tommy, passing the rueful smile onto his face. What's so important? Tommy's mouth moves before he can think about it. There's a blue Jeep outside. I need to make sure that it was someone you wanted to see. He swallows past the lump in his throat, resisting the urge to slam the door and run as far as he can when he sees Dream hand curl into a fist on his desk. You're dismissed. Tommy nods jerkily. Of course. He quietly shuts the door, avoiding the eyes of the guy who, for some reason, spoke up for him. He breathes out sharply and tries not to think about it, how badly he just had fucked up. I hope this was good. This is like the first actual real chapter that I've ever read. I know there's a lot of mistakes. I'll probably get the voices down by the third chapter, I hope. But if you like more, tell me, I guess.